Good morning or good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar, Achieve Outstanding Customer Service Using Acumatica Case Management. I'm Constance Turman, Digital Marketing Director at Acumatica, and I'll be your moderator today. Discussing today's topic is Sean Chatterjee, VP of Sales at Acumatica, and Paul Layton, Acumatica's Pre-Sales and Partner Enablement Manager. We have just a few announcements before we begin. Today's presentation can be found by clicking on the Resources tab in your viewing console. If you have any questions about the content of this session, please enter them via the Q&A text box in your viewing console. We will get to as many questions as we can at the end of the webinar. If you are experiencing any technical issues, please type your issue into the technical support text area. We will be glad to offer any one-on-one assistance. And lastly, this webinar will be available on demand after the event. And now on to the presentation, Achieving Outstanding Customer Service Using Acumatica Case Management. I'm delighted to turn it over to Sean.
Well, thank you so much, Connie, and good morning, good afternoon, based on where you are. I'm really excited again to be in front of you today. And Paul, who is going to be joining us momentarily, will be showing you the demo of the case management platform. I have mentioned this before, in our previous webinars, that this is, this platform is really to help customers, truly harness the power of the system, right? A lot of solutions out there, that you've implemented are in the very basics, maybe financials. Some of you have gone beyond and done financials and distribution and the workflow management. And there are other customers out there who are really, taking the solution to the next level. So there's a different combination of customers out there based on their use cases. And one of the things that we are very interested in is to create these communities. This is one form of community where the customers are getting together, they're learning more about, about the solution. We also have events. Some of you might have gone to some of the events that we have had in your cities where you have met other customers and maybe even discussed how they use Acumatica. But that is sometimes how you get to understand what's out there. What are the piece solution that you have never explored? Today's topic, which is case management, is something that that's close to my heart. I can tell you that the Acumatica's entire, sales as well as support is based on the Acumatica CRM and case management functionality. So if one of you as a customer had an issue and you worked with your partner, the partner might actually have created a case from the portal, which using different workflow rules get assigned to a support technician. And Acumatica would work it all the way through resolution, which will then result in automatic notifications that will get sent out to the partner as well as to the end customer. Some of you as customers who may have support contracts directly with Acumatica can also create cases on the portal that you have. So the case management tool is something that is very foundational on how we run our business. But in this webinar, I was reaching out to some of our customers and some of the clients that I have known personally over the years, and I spoke to Charlie, and I said that, Charlie, I'm having this webinar. Can you tell me how you use the system? And he says that, why don't I get a quick note on how we use? And I wanted to share this with everybody in the audience. Again, if you wish to connect with Charlie, let me know, and I'll be happy to connect you. He's been a great customer, been using this system for many years now. The interesting thing about his business, though, is that it's very diverse. He has a company that's into healthcare, and he uses the case management. And I'm going to read out the code. You can see that it handles support tickets, handle all of the customer escalations, and he does that completely using the case management functionality. But then he has other businesses, that are. He has a race team, for example. That's a totally separate business altogether. There's another business that's involved in environmental activity, environmental cleanup and such. And they use the CRM quite a bit as well. So one thing that I would like to mention to all of you is that for the case management functionality to work, the prerequisite is that you need to have the CRM module within Acumatica. Some of you who are here in this webinar today and not quite familiar with the CRM functionality, I would like to point out and remind you that there is already a recorded webinar that we did specifically around the CRM, and I will highly encourage you to go and view that webinar. But again, just keep that in mind. For those of you who already have the CRM functionality, great, you can just add on the case management. For those of you who don't, just keep that in mind, and you may want to review what the CRM product brings for you as well. With that, I'm going to hand this over to Paul.
Great. Thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate that. And good morning and good afternoon to everybody on the call. Looking forward to talking about case management. I think that all of us can agree that customer service is the lifeblood of any business. And customer service is not just the salesperson prerogative or the salesperson's responsibility, but it's the responsibility of everyone within the organization, from that front office salesperson all the way to the back office person who was responsible for financial information and interaction with the financial organization from our customer. The problem with other ERP systems that I've worked with, and I'm sure that you've seen, is that it seems like they separate customer service from ERP. So they provide a CRM tool that might be loosely integrated to sales orders and inventory, but the seats are so expensive that business owners typically just reserve those seats for those salespeople who have that direct contact with that customer. And so there becomes this disconnect between all the people within our organization that can help provide customer service and the customer themselves. There's no place to collaborate. And Acumatica, thankfully, is quite different. As you'll see as we go through this demo, Acumatica has a deep integration between modules with the case management system. Because that our licensing is consumption-based instead of user-based, we are able to incorporate everyone within a company in the customer service team. And because we have second-to-none configurable workflow, we can automate escalations and assignment of cases that come into your organization so that customers will be singing your praises based on your customer support. Now, in Acumatica, collaboration begins with our customer portal. And there is no doubt that our customer portal is a customer to interact directly with our organization. Now, there are other ways for customers to do cases and not just a customer portal. For example, because of our incoming email processing, we can actually create new cases based on an email sent from a customer. Of course, any customer in the organization can take a phone call and create a case from a phone call. But today, during the demo, as I show the product, we're going to focus on self-service. And we're going to focus on self-service through the eyes of Travis Harper. Travis Harper is an officer in the ABC studios in New York, New York. Travis has come in today, and something's happened to his laptop. He has a problem with it, and he wants to create a new case. So he's logged into the Acumatica company self-service portal. He goes to the icon for a new case, and he starts to create this new case. Now, I'm a busy executive, so anything I do is going to have a high priority. So I can change that priority right here as the person submitting the case. I have a number of class IDs set up for my organization that can be used for cases. So if it's a billing question, I can provide that as a class. If it's some other inquiry, I can maybe find out about some training. I can use the other inquiry. But today, I know that my product needs support, and so I'm going to create a product support incident. And then I'm going to just put in a little bit of verbiage about what's going on. I'm going to say my laptop has black dots on the monitor. So, very descriptive, right? Well, because I am a busy executive, I know that somebody's going to call and ask me what this really looks like. So I'm going to go ahead, and I actually took a picture of this, and I'm going to submit a picture of my laptop with this case. So I've saved that picture here on my computer. I'm uploading it to the case, and I'm submitting the case. Now my case has been submitted to my vendor Acumatica. I'm looking for some support, and so we're going to get that support. Now in the demo environment here, I actually use a true case management position to manage my cases. Not required, of course. I could have an assignment rule that says any product management case comes in is automatically assigned to my head dispatcher or my head service technician. But because this is a demo environment, I'm actually going to do some hands-on looking at the case. So I'm going to, as the case manager, I open up my cases here in my Acumatica client. And I see that I've got a new case here. It's unassigned, and it says that my laptop's got black dots on the monitor. So let's go ahead and open this up. Now, Travis Harper is an important person to me, so I'm going to go ahead and take over this case myself. Now, I'm going to take, the first thing I'm going to do is I see that it says that the laptop's got black dots, and I see that I have one file associated with this case. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this file and take a look at it. Okay, so now I can see that there's a severe problem with that monitor. So I'm going to start dispatching immediately for Travis. So I'm going to open up and create an email for Travis, and I'm going to say, Dear Travis, I think I have spotted the problem. I am dispatching immediately. Yours, Max. Can't wait for the next Grey's Anatomy. And I'm going to go ahead and send that out to Travis Harper so that he knows that a case is on the way. Now, in Acumatica, we have the capabilities of actually scheduling the processing of emails both in and out of the product so that we can collaborate on those cases. And so as emails are attached to a case, as emails are sent out and emails are responded to, they become part of the permanent case history so that I know what's going on with my customer, and my customer also knows what's going on within that case. So now that I have sent that out, Travis can go to his case, browse his open cases, and he can see all of the things that I can see. So he can see the activities that have taken place, and he can see what's going on with the contacts internally and externally. So now it's time for me to go ahead and create a new service order for that case. So I'm going to go ahead and under Actions, I'm going to create a service order. This is a great example of that deep integration, inter-module integration with case management. So I can create this service order directly from the case. I don't have to open up my services module. I don't have to call the service manager. All I do is open a service case, and that becomes then a case for the new dispatcher to find and to dispatch. Now, I'm not going to go and log out and log back in. I'm going to step aside and step back in now as the service dispatcher. I've been notified that I have a new case here. I can see that it's for Travis Harbor. I can see that it has a high priority, and I'm going to go ahead and assign a high severity to this because I know that he can't use his laptop right now. As a professional in the services department, I know that I'm going to go ahead and create select an install of general install for replacing that laptop, and I'm going to add staff. Now, I could add staff graphically through the calendar app, or I can come in here and use my skills selection to add my my actual staff to this appointment. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to add Mike Landrews to the appointment, and then I will dispatch Michael. But before I dispatch Michael, I'm going to make sure that I've added the inventory to it that I need to replace. So I'm going to go ahead and select a laptop for Travis to be sent out with the service technician. Now that I've selected services and items, all I have to do then is schedule this appointment. And of course, we will schedule it immediately today so that it goes out now. As a service technician, I go into the field either using my mobile app or using any device that has a web browser, and I can start that appointment. The appointment will then track for me things like the time I spend on hand. It will track this inventory item that I brought with me, or I can add any inventory items that I'd like. For the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish this. We're going to complete it. And then, most important, we're going to go ahead and build this. And notice that we use processes that are quick and easy to run these things. So I run the appointment, and I build the appointment out. And it creates for me automatically the invoice. The invoice then is released, and this will allow me then to email out to Travis the actual email or the actual invoice. So now I have completed my invoice process, and Travis can go out. He can see that the case has been completed. And he can also go in and he'll see that he has now an invoice for that new case so that he can see the cost of the actual service call and everything that has been completed with that case. So we've collaborated internally. We've collaborated with our customer externally, and we have diagnose the problem and solve the problem in just a few easy steps. And we've done that because of the deep integration these cases have within the Acumatica product. Now, in addition to the activities that I've shown you, there are multiple activities that we can use on a case. Not just emails. We can have specific tasks that we track to completion. We can have specific events that we track to completion. We can have chats, phone calls, appointments, messages, so that we can relate all of the activity we have performed on a case and provide the best service that we can to our customers. And with that, I will yield to questions.
Thanks so much, Paul. Appreciate you walking all our attendees through that great demo. We're really excited to announce a very special promotion for all attendees, to 10% discount on case management through December 31st, 2019. This promotion is exclusive and only available to attendees of this webinar, and the terms are listed on the slide. And finally, we wanted to encourage all Acumatica customers to join us in Las Vegas, January 26th to the 31st for the Summit 2020. Register now at summit.acumatica.com. You're not going to want to miss this great event. Thank you so much, Sean and Paul. That was super helpful and incredibly insightful. We're now going to move to the Q&A portion of this event. Audience members can submit questions using the Q&A text box in the viewing console. We will do our very best to get to as many questions as we can. Taking a look, it looks like we do have a few questions. The first question comes from Alec in Portland. Can I use this internally for my Acumatica users? Sean, why don't you go ahead and take that first question?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question. It's not, this tool can be used not just for your customers reporting issues and raising support tickets, but you can use not only the case management tool, but also the workflow within the case management tool for your own employees as well. I'm running the sales team here at Acumatica, and I can tell you that one of the use cases for us is managing customer references. We have prospective customers who are coming and saying, hey, I want to go and speak to one of your customers. And when that customer call happens and we try to schedule that call, we try to use the case management tool to not only tee up that conversation or the call, but also track which customer is giving the references. So, that's an example of how we are using the case management tool internally to track the references that are given by our existing customer base. But you can always come up with new and creative ways to use the tool as well.
That's so great. Thank you, Sean. Our next question comes from Bailey in Tucson. What happens when a case is assigned to a support rep who is on vacation or maybe just out for the day? Or what happens to a rep who's working a case and then they're out and can't follow up? Paul, why don't you go ahead and take that one?
Great. Thank you very much. Cases can be assigned escalation points or SLAs so that using our workflow assignment rules, we can actually escalate a case to the next person in line or supervisors for answering. And of course, when somebody's on vacation, we can actually add workflow assignment rules that take that into account. So if I'm going to be gone for a week, all my work can be replaced with what Eric does. So Eric becomes the owner of the cases that would normally be assigned to me.
Okay, that's so great, Paul. I got one more question for you here from Kristen in St. George. Can I create a contract for a customer for support?
Absolutely. I didn't point it out, but on the portal, the first place that a customer can address is selecting a contract for support. So contracts can be created to determine billability or SLAs. So absolutely, we use contracts with the case management tool.
Thank you, Paul. So in your great demo, we do have one question when you were talking about Travis Harper. So does the external customer, Travis Harper, in your hypothetical demo, have access to the internal emails and communications relative to the case he presented?
Travis Harper would have access to any emails that were associated with the case. So if I have an internal email that I create in the activity tab of the case, he would see those internal emails. So it is something to consider. Most of the time you would expect you may want them to see those so they know that activity is taking place, but just make sure not to say anything you wouldn't want said outside of your walls.
Okay, thank you. That was great. And great demo too. I think that's a real life scenario. Sean, I've got a question for you. How does a case connect with your, with our CRM module?
Well, it is a completely integrated tool, as you know, and I know Paul mentioned it a few times, that when you look at Acumatica, the entire functionality is part of the same system. So essentially, if you think of a scenario that a customer calls up and the salesperson is looking at activities within the customer account, from that same screen, he will also have access to looking at the cases which are connected to that same customer. So this is a quick use case that I just gave you, where somebody in sales is looking at a customer and not only can access all of the correspondences and the calls under the CRM activities, but will also have complete access to your cases. And then again, there was this question on the emails, so and that is also an important aspect of the communication, that when that salesperson is looking at the data, he is not only looking at email correspondences within the system from different contacts, but also the cases and the status of the cases, sometimes as it is communicated via email. So so the two are completely linked and integrated together, and you can seamlessly go from one to the other.
That's so great. Thank you. One last question, and Paul, I'm going to have you close us out on the Q&A. It's around tasks for case management. Can you discuss briefly how these work?
Yeah, absolutely. So a task, you can think of task as a folder that you open and provide an owner to. In that folder, then I add activities. So I start a task that says maybe the task will be to do research and provide an answer to this question. And so now I can start adding files or notes about my research to this task. And then that task is associated to the case. And so that entire folder is available for review on the case. It could also be related to project tasks. So it could be that I've got a case related to a project accounting activity that I have ongoing. So let's say in this case, they say that I need to complete task B in this project. I can actually create a task related to that cost code and that project task in project accounting. And then the case and that project accounting task will then be in sync, and we will be able to see the resolution as it goes through time together.
Thank you, Paul. That was great. And just as a reminder, I know that we have several other questions. We will make sure to follow up with each of you individually and answer your questions. And we want to make sure that you get the ample time to kind of connect with the team. You can see their contact information is on the screen, and we will reach back out to you and continue that follow-up. So we're just about out of time, and on behalf of our guests, Sean Chatterjee, Paul Layton, I'm Connie Turman. Thank you for your time and participation today, and have a great day.